Should add. We're gonna start to record. Okay. How you guys doing? I see Cassidy. I'm not sure whose phone number is the 626-1908, but that might be Kim or maybe who do I got? Who's driving?
Yeah, that number's me. It's Kim.
Hi, Kim. All right, so you guys can stay muted. I'm gonna send a message out real quick to see who I'm missing. And then we're gonna start going. So really tonight, what we're doing is I just wanna touch base with you all and see if you have any questions first, since you're all brand new to the team. And if there's any questions about anything, and that literally could be whatever you wanna talk about, or anything that you might be confused about and need some clarification, I would be happy to help. And then I'm going to review a couple things with you that I feel that I just want to make sure was discussed with you as you're continuing to train. Some of you are just summer staff. So if you're just summer staff, like I had said, upon hiring, it's going to be a little bit of a quick study and getting into it so that you feel comfortable. And I just want you to know that we're here to support you so that you do know what you're doing. Okay. All right, so let me just send this out in Brightwheel. Okay, just so that everybody knows and that they'll get it and they'll log on. Okay, so I have Rose on the call and I have Danielle on the call and I have Cassidy on the call and I have Kim. Okay, great. Just taking my attendance for you guys. And I don't think I'm missing anybody else, right? Nobody else. Okay, so any questions? Anyone want to go first? Do you have any questions about anything that I can clarify, any confusion or something that you've been thinking about? No? All right, so let's talk about some things and how you would do it. Let's talk about if you were to call out sick and how I want you to do that, or something comes up and there's an emergency and maybe you're not sick, it's just an emergency and you can't come to work. What I want you to do is I want you to call CCH first. If we don't answer the phone, because maybe you're calling at 5 o'clock in the morning, go ahead and leave a voice message for us so that I get it, because I do get an alert that I have to listen to a voicemail. So I will check that. But then I'm also going to ask you, make sure that you email the info@cchamptons.com so that if I don't catch the voicemail, whoever arrives first to work and they open up the computer, it'll be an info. Okay, so if you're going to call out for whatever reason, whether it's an illness or an emergency of some sort, you're going to do those two things. And then typically I will respond back to you in a text message stating that I've received your messages. Okay, if you want to request for time off, then there is slips where we leave our cell phones in the cell phone bin right up at the counter. There's these little white slips and you're going to fill those out for now. Ideally, we would like to use ADP where you guys get paid through payroll, but I'm not really 100% sure if it's working properly right now. We've tried to make it work, but for some reason it's not really showing the time requests properly through ADP. So there's just a paper slip that you would fill out and you can either hand it to Brianna or you can put it on my door where the black bin is and slip it in there so that we can refer to it and be able to maybe give you the time off. Ideally, if you know that the time that you're requesting to have off because you need an appointment or whatever that might be, at least 2 weeks before, if you can. Okay. But sometimes I know things that come up short notice. So as much time as you possibly can, you'll do that. I'm just going to check off my things as I go over them with you guys. Then let's talk. So those are about time off. Your schedule is always on Google Calendar. If you do not see yourself on Google Calendar for some reason, do not hesitate to either text me or text my sister, because sometimes it's not on purpose. Literally, sometimes it's just an accident and she forgot to add it. We obviously do the best that we can to not miss anybody, but every Friday the schedules she looks over them again, make sure she has everyone. Sometimes she has to tweak some things. If there is a change in your schedule that's normally not your schedule, you will always be told by one of us face to face, so that you're aware, so that I'm not anticipating like Rose, right? We asked for a switch for your day. I'm not going to anticipate that you're going to see it because I never told you. And you would just assume, why would your schedule change? Right. So I'm going to make sure that I tell you so that I'm not like, why it's Monday and so is not here today. I will always make sure that I do my best. But if you don't see yourself on the schedule, please always ask, because it could be just a common mistake. Okay. Let's go through some of the day-to-day stuff. Hand washing. Can somebody tell me when we wash hands?
Like before changing diapers and after changing diapers, and like after applying sunscreen on the kids, or like after touching a different kid. So like if you're gonna touch a different kid and everything.
Totally. That's right, Daniela. So really, for you as the teacher, you have to wash your hands kind of a lot, right? So if you're going to get ready to change a diaper, you might have just been playing toys with the kids or doing something. So you're going to wash your hands before you change the diaper and after the diaper. Applying sunscreen to a child before and after changing. And we're going to talk about sunscreen in just a second. And for the children too, right? So you always want to think about health and safety for the children first. And so a child comes in from the outside from home. When they arrive to school in the morning, they should be washing their hands. The only classroom that doesn't have a sink is the P4 classroom. So they do it differently. They'll use baby wipes or hand sanitizer, but that doesn't replace hand washing. That's just a temporary wash for them. So for example, if the children have just gone outside to play on the playground and come back in, hand sanitizer is not good enough. Everyone needs to stop at the bathroom, wash their hands, and then go to the P4 classroom before. So hand washing for children, think of it as this way. Anytime we go outside and come back inside, hand wash. Anytime we go to the bathroom or change a diaper, we wash their hands. Anytime we eat food, we wash our hands. Anytime we've done an activity that is sand, water, soap, blob, paint, yada, yada, we wash our hands. So kids get their hands washed a lot throughout the day. When in doubt and you don't know, wash their hands. Because if licensing, and this isn't a trick question, when is a time that you don't realize you should be washing hands? There's a time of day that always gets missed that is a regulation that children must wash their hands after doing X. Can anyone tell me that answer? Go ahead, Rose. I can't hear you, but I don't know if I can unmute you myself. Hold on. I don't know if I can unmute you. Can you hit your microphone piece, Rose? Let me see. Hold on. I got you. Let me see if I can do it. Ask to unmute. All right, Rose, try now. I asked to unmute you, but I lost your video. There you go. Can't hear you yet, but I see if you click that button. Nope. Did it work? Nope. I don't know why it won't let me unmute you myself. I'm asking to unmute you, but it won't let me unmute you. I won't be able to do it. But the secret time to wash your hands is after nap time. When they wake up from nap, hands need to be washed before they do their next step. So the reason that is because during nap time, we're not always 100% sure if they've stuck their hands in their diaper, if they've wiped their nose with their hands, they've stuck their hands in their mouth. So that is always a time that sometimes we forget about, but that is a violation. So if Office of Children and Family Services was to come into the building and it was during nap time and a child wakes up, the first thing they do is they go to the sink, they wash their hands, and you're good to go. In the preschool 4 classroom, because there's no running water and there's not a sink in that room, a baby wipe and hand sanitizer would suffice until it is time to then go to the bathroom and wash our hands before we have PM snack, let's say, for example. All right. So that's about hand washing. Let's talk about sunscreen since we're talking about hand washing. Sunscreen. This is a tricky one because I know that some people, it's been a little confusing for some. And I'll reattach a video and I'll send it out to you guys. It's me putting on sunscreen and walking you through it. Every child that we apply sunscreen to, and this is your choice, you are more than welcome to wear gloves and apply sunscreen to them. But that would mean you always have to change your gloves in between every child, just like a diaper change, or you can use your bare hands. So just like you had said, Daniela, though, I would wash my hands. I would apply the sunscreen to me. You would apply it to me, and then you would wash your hands again because now you're going to go apply sunscreen to Rose or to the next child and the next child. So you're always going to think that if you're not going to use gloves, you're going to wash your hands in between each and every child. And the reason we do that, why? If I have a little bit of a snotty nose and you don't wash your hands before you apply the sunscreen to Rose, Rose just got all of my germs all over her face. So we want to try to make sure that everybody is being healthy as well as yourself. And that's also why you're required to wash your hands in between each child, so that I just sunscreened up Rose and she's not feeling well today. And I am done sunscreening. And now I touch my face. I've just now gotten Rose's germs all over me as well. So always think about it in that aspect. Sometimes that's an easier way to remember for yourself, so that you wash in between. So sunscreen's pretty simple. Wash your hands. I don't wear gloves. I put the sunscreen on my hands. I apply it to one child. I wash my hands and I'm on to the next. And then I just keep going. The best way to apply sunscreen is in a bathroom or next to a sink is the easiest. So always think of it that way. If you have any questions about sunscreening, you let me know. All right. We talked about diaper changing a little bit. We can review diaper changing in person if you feel like you have any questions about it, but you always want to think to yourself too, that whenever you're changing a diaper, especially if they're on a changing pad, you're making sure that your hands are washed, that changing pad has been sanitized, and you have all the materials that you need to change that child. In reality, you don't have to wear gloves to change a child. There's nothing in regulations that state that you have to. However, it is best practice. Why? Because it's healthiest for you and the child. Just in case, what if you have a paper cut on your hand and something gets on you and those things, you don't want me to get into it, but it's sanitary all around for everyone. So best practice is wearing gloves. After you've changed the diaper though, for the children, always remember that you have to take off those dirty gloves before you put on a clean diaper. Okay, that's always a step that kind of we get into the rhythm and into the moment of changing a diaper, and sometimes we forget. So do your best to take it off. And if you're going to apply diaper cream, we're going to put on one clean glove afterwards, apply the diaper cream, and we're good to go. And then we're going to wash hands. We're going to wash the child's hands, and we're going to wash our hands and start the process all over. If you have questions about diaper changing, you guys let me know and we can fine tune it. But you do lots of it. So I'm sure you're getting to be really good at it. All right, let's talk about ratio and supervision with children. So ratio for my teachers that float around from classroom to classroom. If you ever forget for some reason, can you guys go into the office please for a second? My kids are standing here staring at me next to me, literally staring at me. I love them dearly and they're ready to go home too, but they're staring at me and I can't concentrate talking to you guys. If you don't remember the ratio, just ask. Remind me again how many children we have today and what my ratio is, because that's all right. We sometimes don't always remember, but a quick breakdown for you to remember is that preschool 4 is 8, preschool 3 is 7. So 7 and 8, nice and close. And then toddlers and infants, 4 and 5. Infants are my 4s, toddlers are my 5s, 7, 8. So 4, 5, 7, 8. There's no 6. There's never a 6. It's 4, 5, 7, 8. And you just always have to remember that we go with the least amount of children for the younger and the most for the oldest. Okay. Supervision. Some of you have watched the video, some of you have not yet, but it's always just so great to make sure that you have your children. And the way that we do it here to make sure that they're safe is that we have lovely iPads that have their beautiful little faces on it. So if we don't remember a child's name, because it is hard to remember every child's name, there are their pictures on there with their name. If you ever come across a new kid that doesn't have a picture, just tell me, because I'm the only one or the parents are the only ones to be able to upload a profile picture for their face. Okay. So that you have that so that you're aware. Are there any questions about what I just discussed before I move forward about supervision? You have questions, Rose, but I can't hear you. I want to try to see if I can get you to unmute it again, Rose. I'm going to try. See if the screen tells you. It says ask to unmute, and see if the screen allows you to accept something. Or you can always type it into the chat box if you know how to do that, Rose. If you could type it into the chat box, I can always look at what you're writing there. All right, so talking about supervision of children, the most important things is watching these children and keeping them alive, right? So I always joke to some of my senior staff that if you literally did nothing else but read books with children all day long and keep them by your side and play with them, as long as you know how many children you have and who you have in attendance that day, fantastic. So it's a little bit tricky here in a daycare setting because we're going to go for a walk. We go outside, we go inside, we go get supplies, whatever that might be. We use our iPads for face to name, right? Making sure that we're not double counting heads, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sometimes turns into 1, 2, 3, 4 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's not always foolproof. Hold on a sec, guys. I'm so sorry. My kids need a computer. Let's see, guest. Go ahead. So supervision is the most important piece. You always want to say to yourself, and I'll always envision this, my father always taught you this, when you walk into a room, the adult's back should be to the wall so that you can always look out. Or if you're on the playground, your back would be to a fence so that you have a good view all around you and you never feel that you're only like this and you can only see X amount of children. So always make sure that you place yourself somewhere that you can see all of your kids. If you're alone or if you're with another teacher, I love that you guys want to talk to each other and have a conversation, but we can have a conversation 10 feet apart from each other and continue to talk while we supervise the children outside on the playground, for example. Okay. So if you have any questions about that, you let me know. In terms of supervision, we talked about ratio, supervision. Let's talk about supervision / security for the building for some of you that are new. So let's make sure that all of the doors to the outside of the building are locked. So all of the doors to the exterior, just like you guys know, the front door buzzes, or we have to buzz you in, and all the doors are locked so that nobody can get in, right? It helps keep us safe. So the exterior doors need to do the same. So if you guys go out, P3, T2, T1, or any of the infant doors, please make sure that they're tightly shut behind you. Because I was telling Kim earlier today, and I think Rose, you might have been outside too. I hate to say it this way, but God forbid somebody is preying on the daycare for some reason, or we have a crazy parent who chooses to jump the fence and try to get into the school when they're not supposed to. If any of the doors are left open, they could get in. And we may not know that they've gotten into the building. So we want to keep you as the teacher safe, as well as the children. And please call on the walkie. I'll come and let you in, or Brianna will let you in, or anybody else that's available will always let you in. We do our best to try to keep you guys coming in at a particular time so that the doors, we're not having to get up and down and open the doors 1,000 different times, right? That's why there's kind of scheduled times on the calendar. But as some of you may have noticed, preschool will let in the toddler group when they need to come in. And then when it's time for preschool to come in, there's nobody else who's going out. So they always call and one of us will let you in. So please just keep that in mind. Do your best to keep the doors to the exterior of the building always closed in all the classrooms, as well as the gates. We have some parents that drop off the preschool group in the morning sometimes, and they go out the gates in the backyard. I'm okay with that, but there is a bungee. If you ever go out the P4 door, there is an exterior gate there. there's a bungee on that gate. Because if there's not a bungee on that gate, we have some pretty smart kids that could figure out how to push that thing down and push it open, and now they're into the parking lot. So instead of me completely locking it and always having to unlock it with an actual lock, we put a bungee on it as an extra precaution. Some of our parents go out that way and they don't close it the way it should be closed. So that's okay. I will then have that conversation with all of our parents and I explain why. And I think most people, all of us, can understand and respect the fact that it's just the safety of the children and ourselves at all times. We do have cameras inside and outside of the building. They're just not in the bathrooms or on the changing tables. Okay, so that's our safety stuff and our supervision and our ratio. One more thing before I get into this last little piece. Let's talk about time management. So anytime that a teacher, you guys fall into ratio, come find me. Maybe I might need you. I might need to send you off to another classroom, or I might say to you, oh, great, you can have prep time or X, Y, and Z. So let's give an example. The end of the day today, once preschool starts to fall into ratio, then Danielle came inside. She started vacuuming her classroom. Then we fell into ratio again. Miss Becca came inside. She started vacuuming and cleaning up her classroom. But then Miss Becca had to make sure, oh, wait, Brianna leaves at 5 o'clock. So I have to step back outside for Miss Brianna to be able to leave. So we just have to be able to watch the clock so that we know, and I can get you guys too out in a timely manner. If I'm promising you that you're going to work until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I want to get you out at 3 o'clock. I don't want to be like, oh, I'm so sorry, I held you for 30 more minutes, or whatever it may be, right? I want to hold true to what we do, and I don't want to have anyone feel slighted or feel that they're being taken advantage of. And it goes the same way with lunch breaks. If you walk into a classroom to give lunch breaks and there's 2 teachers in a classroom, there's really no reason for that teacher you're giving to lunch break to have a conversation with. The other teacher that they work with should be able to fill you in on what's happening in that moment and leave. Sometimes you might walk in and that teacher you're about to give a lunch break is changing a diaper. That's fine. That's why we always give a little bit of a 5-minute buffer in between breaks so that if something like that happens. But it should be pretty seamless in and out so that we can make sure that everyone gets their breaks, they get the amount of breaks that they need, and they move quick enough, per se. It's the same thing when we have soccer, like on Tuesday, right? Our soccer day, we get to, Coach Sam takes the kids and one teacher gets to go on a lunch break sometimes on a 20-minute break. Works beautifully, but that teacher better move it, because if Coach Sam comes back and she's done teaching soccer, I'm going to tell that staff member, you're done with your break. You better get back there, because we're not going to hold up the next person who needs a lunch break, because that's not fair. So we move quickly, but we always have time for those buffers. That's why I schedule 5 minutes between each, and sometimes it gives us a good grace period of that. So time management, and if you guys have questions about things on how to better time management in the classroom or your own personal schedule or other things, talk to me about it and we can make sure to make it work. Just because, like when I discuss time management, as long as we get to the same objective and we're fulfilling the same thing, I don't really care how we get there. So for the most part, if I'm saying to you guys, we have an hour to do it, whatever that may be, as long as it's done in the hour, I don't care. And if you need help or something changes, come see me, and we can work together to make that happen. Okay, because I know that classroom stuff, sometimes we get thrown off with our classroom schedule. No big deal. Or breaks get messed up because someone didn't show up to work or something happens. That's fine. We can tweak it, we'll move it, and we'll work on it. Just always come see me and I'll help you guys work through it. But that's really it about that. If there's any other questions, you guys let me know. I don't really have other things to talk about, except for the last thing that I just wanted to talk about was our CCH philosophy and who we are, and what I expect and how I expect for our curriculum and the care of our children to look. Any questions, or anyone want to throw anything in the chat? I know I have some staff driving, but you guys just tell me. You do, Rose. Can you type it or unmute it? I don't know how to get you there. Rose, where's your daughter? I saw her back there. Go get her and say, help me. That's what kids are for. Yay. It's unmuted.
She rocks. She's 13 years old and she's better equipped than I am, let me tell
That's
you.
what kids are for, Rose. That's what kids are
I'm
for.
telling you. She's like, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. Maybe I should get an updated phone too, but that would help.
That's okay.
No, I just want to make sure you hear me. So when you are speaking about the next topic, if I have questions, I'd love to chat with you. So I'm glad you could hear me. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So the next thing I was just going to talk about is the philosophy and like my vision and how I think about CCH and what I think about with children. So the way that what I love about CCH and what I always want to continue here is I want kids to be kids and I want them to have fun. There is enough pressure in our lives, as we know as adults, that are here and now and are coming for these children's lives that they just don't know yet. And so we're here to make sure that they're safe, they're happy, and that they're having so much fun. We want them at the end of the day not to want to leave CCH or that they go home talking about school and so happy, right? Like, I'll give you an example. Roma's mom just shared with us that at home, when she takes a nap now, she lines up her baby dolls in her bed and she rubs their backs and shushes them to sleep. That brings so much joy to my heart because that means that her teachers or the teachers that are caring for her in that time, during that time period, are showing that love and nurturing feeling in that moment, that it makes her feel safe, that she wants to duplicate and do that again because it feels good. And so that example that I'm sharing with you is that let children, this is the school to make a mess, be crazy, and have so much fun. Now, listen, when I say crazy, there's some parameters around crazy, right? I do not care if they cartwheeled their way down this hallway to get to the bathroom in order for you to supervise them. If they have to crawl like cats and dogs or whatever it is, cool. That doesn't bother me either. You want to sing on the top of your lungs and be silly and jump up and down so that they focus on you so you can transition. Amazing. And honestly, when I know we say sometimes, don't run, but let's say they're not listening to me at all. I might turn around and be like, the fastest one down the hallway wins, go. That's okay too. But I have to say to myself, someone might trip and fall and I might have tears in 5 seconds, but I'm willing to take that chance so that I can supervise them because I don't have their undivided attention. Right. And as we know, toddlers are like stray cats. They literally they're cats. They go this way, they go that way. They have no idea what they're doing. And the only way to get toddlers' attention is to literally be like, blah, 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 la, 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 and be silly with them to get them to focus. So find your inner child, be silly, right? But then there's also respectful rules that follow as a common human, right? We're not allowed to touch anybody else's body because it's not our body. I can't let you hurt our friends because I don't want anyone else to hurt you either. And so I want you to think about this too. And I think sometimes this is a challenge for everybody. And it's always a reflection is think about how you like to be spoken to as an adult and how you would speak to a child. So if I constantly nagged you over and over again when you worked here about God only knows what, after a while, you'd probably start to tune me out and not listen to me. And that's what children do too, right? And so what I would like to say is you're going to meet them where they're at. And always remind yourself, we sometimes like to age children up and they're not even there yet. They're 2 and they're 3 and we think they should know better. They know nothing. They know nothing. Everything they know or they start to know is they're learning now with us. We're molding their beautiful little minds here and now. And so talking about my philosophy is what I really want children to be seen for who they are individually. And we get to give them an environment that allows them safety, security, love, and an education. And the education doesn't have to look cookie cutter. It doesn't have to be sit at the table, stand in line. It could be messy. It could be crazy. And that's okay too. And when I say education, like as you're seeing now for summer curriculum, Today, they made, we made moon rocks were made for them last night so that they could play with moon rocks today. And then they set off their rocket ships and giving them experiences that they may not be able to get at home. And then in the summertime, we add extracurriculars to give them even more of an experience to something else, because when they leave us one day and they go to big school out in the big world and take a big bus, they will have knowledge and an understanding before they get there. And the importance of this environment is to grow their confidence and their social emotional growth so that then they can be receptive and acceptable. They can accept what's coming to them when public school changes. And it's a big change for very many children, because as you know, in this environment, the only time they're sitting down is when they're eating. Other than that, there's really not very many tushies in a chair for very often. They're typically standing around a table. So that's part of the philosophy. I can dive into so many other things that I would love to talk about, but that's my view on things, where if children want to climb up a slide, let them climb up a slide. You be there to support their bottom as they climb up that slide, and that they have no toys in their hands so they can safely climb up a slide. In my eyes, there's really no limitations. It just has to be safe. And I know that each of us individually maybe don't always agree with some of my risky play, but if you don't, come to me and ask me, and so I can help you, make you feel more comfortable of what that looks like. Like, I don't mind if a child decides to take, I'm going to use preschool as an example, and even toddlers. Some of the toddlers stand at the windowsill now. They stand on the cushy little mats and stuff, and they stand on the builders. That's good too. Some of our toddlers or our preschoolers want to pull over a chair and stand on a chair. Sure, just give them something secure to stand on so it doesn't topple over. There's no reason why they can't explore it. But ask me if you feel unsure about something, and I'll show you how we can make it work for the classroom environment. Right. So any questions, or anybody want to talk about anything that I had just said?
Thank you. No, thank you for the overview.
Yeah. And just so you know, right. And if you're ever working with somebody else, so let's talk about this other piece. This environment can become very stressful because adults, we carry a lot of stress and a lot of different things that come from the outside. Right. And so when you walk in this building every day, do your best to leave that stuff on the outside. But if you're having a tough day yourself, feel free to either come to me if you feel comfortable, or tell your co-teacher that you're working with and just say, hey, I'm having a little bit of an off day. I'm not going to lie. If I don't seem like myself, I might need to tap out, or, if my buttons are being pushed, can you take over for me? And here's an example. I cannot stand whining children. Whining bleeds my soul. I do my best to not allow it to affect me, but there are times that I might have to turn to a teacher and say, do me a favor. I need you, because I can't hear this child whine anymore. And I'm not able to collect myself enough to figure out how to get away from the whining or help redirect the child who's whining. And so we might need to use each other in moments of time, right? But we can do hard things and make our way through it, but we all have some stuff that sometimes triggers us than others, and whining is mine. And and some people don't like to hear children cry. I can hear everybody else's children cry and I can handle it beautifully. But when I walk in the baby room and my niece is crying, she's like my own child, and I can't. I have to scoop that kid up and I have to help that child right away. Where another child who's not mine is crying, I can be like, I'll be right with you. I know you got this. We're going to do this. Give me one more second. I'm going to put this down so I can get to you, and I'm going to come. Where my mind blacks out if it's my kids or my niece, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're crying. They need me instantly. So we all have our stuff, and we can all help each other through it when we have those challenging times. But that's really all I wanted to review with you guys. And I just wanted to go over those quick things and just kind of touch base. And please always know that even though the day is busy, if you need me, just say, hey, Danielle, maybe I don't have a moment right this second. Be like, before I leave today or on my lunch break today, can we just have a quick chat? I have a question about something. Or you can shoot me a message, because Summer is busy and crazy, like I told you all it would be. And the day flies by quickly. So, you know, we don't always get to sit down and meet face to face. So that's why I like to be able to have sometimes just a quick Zoom real quick, or shoot me a message and we can make time so that we can sit down.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anytime. But that's it. I don't really need to take any other time from you guys. A quick 47 minutes of a conversation, barely, because I jumped on at 6:10 because I had a tour in the building that I was trying to kick out at 6 o'clock. I'm like, okay, yep, yep. Thanks for coming. Here's all your stuff.
See you later.
I know. But thanks. We've been talking for 30 minutes. I gotta go. I got a staff meeting. But thank you guys for jumping on. Thank you those who are driving and listening. I appreciate you listening. And if you guys have any other questions, you let me know.
Thank
All right.
you. Will do.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you
and
so much.
Thank you so much. Thank
Have a
you.
good
You're
night.
welcome.
Good night.
I'll see some of
Thank
you
you.
tomorrow. All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.